alumni of the American Pickers. In a video that was published by the program several years after he was fired, Fritz has made an appearance that was completely unexpected. For the last 2 years, members in the audience have been pleading with History Channel to bring back Frank. An old episode of American Pickers was uploaded on the Facebook page of the show, and it included Frank, who is 57 years old, and Mike Wolf, who is now the show's star, looking at vehicles together. The network terminated Frank's employment about 2 years ago, and since then, he has been struggling with significant health problems. After undergoing back surgery in March 2020, which left him with 185 stitches and 2 rods in his spine, he took a break from American Pickers to recuperate from the procedure. His final appearance on the show was during an episode that aired in March 2020. Frank was able to shed 65 pounds while he was away from the program. In addition, he disclosed to the United States Sun that he had checked himself into a rehabilitation center for a period of 77 days in order to get treatment for alcohol addiction. In an interview with the United States Sun in 2021, Frank disclosed the fact that he had a rivalry with his co-star Mike. At that time, Frank made the following statement: "I haven't talked to Mike in 2 years. Despite the fact that he was aware that my back was infected, he did not contact me to inquire about how I was doing. But that is the way things are. Everything is stacked in his favor 100% of the time. If I were to bend down so much, I wouldn't even be able to show you how much. That is not a problem." The situation is similar to that of Aerosmith, with Steven Tyler serving as the band's frontman. In this case, I found my place on the show. I'm now in second place, just behind him. I don't have an issue with it, but it's possible that he does have a problem. He went so far as to admit, "I believe Mike is trying to get his brother Robbie in there to take my place at the company. I am really perplexed as to why he is acting in such a manner toward me." In addition to often asking Mike, who is 58 years old, for updates, fans have been pleading with him and History Channel to bring Frank back to the program. It was observed in the film that Frank and Mike were digging around a vast property that was loaded with a variety of vehicles, including motorbikes, automobiles, and components. While they were doing the pick, they came upon an Ace motorbike with 4 cylinders, and Mike instantly took possession of it. As part of a confessional interview, Mike provided a short history of the motorcycle before making an offer on that motorcycle, as well as other motorcycles that he was interested in purchasing. During the course of the transactions, Mike made the decision to discuss the figures with Frank. At the conclusion of the day, they made an offer that was more than $80,000 for a variety of items on the site. "When we're discussing this amount of money, I am more than a little anxious. Mike is asking for my approval on this option, but I am more than a little concerned about it." In his own confessional, Frank said, we're talking about $85, $90,000 when we talk about it." Since he left American Pickers, Frank has not been seen or heard from to a significant extent. Over the last several years, the television celebrity has had a number of significant medical setbacks. After suffering from seizures and pneumonia, he was sent to the hospital 4 times on 4 separate occasions, according to the 911 recording that was made public earlier this month. In July, he had a stroke that required him to be hospitalized. After that, he was sent to a nursing facility to recuperate before going back to his home in Iowa. There were 4 911 calls that were put from Frank's residence, and all of them ended in Frank being sent to the hospital. The United States Sun got these calls exclusively. It was on November 17 when Frank's caretaker called 911 to report that he was having a seizure. The operator was informed by her that he just returned home from inpatient rehabilitation for a stroke. Right now, he's experiencing a full-blown seizure, maybe more than one. The man has been trembling. After that, she spoke with the operator about ways in which she might be of assistance to him, since she was being moved to the medical department. On the 7th of December, another caregiver phoned 911 to report that their blood pressure was high. She made the following statement on the call: "I have a stroke victim who is 59 years old and has elevated blood pressure." She could be heard telling Frank, "You have to go because your blood pressure is too high." You could hear Frank groaning in the background as she spoke to him. In response, he said, of December, another caregiver contacted 911 for possible pneumonia. This was the second of 2 calls that were made. Next, Frank's guardian phoned the next day. "I'm going to need an ambulance to take someone to the hospital because I think they have pneumonia," he stated during the call. "I'm going to need ambulance service. As the protector, he suffers from a disability. He is confined to a wheelchair. FRANCESRIDGHTTOCOSERATION." Frank's friends filed an emergency appointment for a temporary guardian and conservator for the celebrity, alleging that his decision-making capacity is so impaired as a result of the stroke that occurred at his residence in July. This was in response to the medical issues that Frank was experiencing. The following is an excerpt from the records that were acquired by the United States Sun. Mr. Fritz's decision-making capacity is so impaired as a result of his stroke that he is unable to care for his own safety or to provide for necessities such as food, shelter, clothing, or medical care, without which he may suffer from a physical injury or illness. According to the statement, Mr. Fritz's decision-making capacity is so impaired that he is unable to make, communicate, or carry out important decisions concerning his own financial affairs. In the court documents, there was a reference to an exhibit that was provided by a physician which confirmed that Frank does not have decisional capacity. The following additional information was included in the court documents. Decisions must be made for Mr. Fritz's care and placement while he continues to recover and receive treatment for his injuries. It is imperative that a guardian and conservator be appointed in order to prevent any imminent damage from occurring to him. The person who submitted the petition asked for Frank's guardian to be a different longtime friend of his who has been assisting him in decision-making since the stroke. It is Midwest-owned bank that is acting as Frank's conservator and managing his financial affairs. The guardian will provide assistance to Frank in the treatment of his Crohn's illness, as well as in his ongoing physical therapy. The former American Pickers star will also get assistance from him in the areas of food shopping, cooking, and getting Frank to any activity he feels up to.